Hey football freaks, it's Alan. Just wanted to take the time here to let you know that this week's show is brought to you by Pretty Easy Podcasts. If you're thinking of doing a podcast, there is a way for you to do a show without having to become an audio editing master, a production whiz kid. You can just go to prettyeasypodcast.com and get your own personal producer at a very, very low cost. That'll be someone who can guide you, assist you, help you out with whatever you need to get your podcast off the ground. If you have an idea or a topic you want to talk about on a weekly basis, a daily basis, it doesn't matter. Go to prettyeasypodcast.com. Get started today. Take some of the hassle of starting a podcast off your shoulders and let the audio professionals at Pretty Easy Podcasts help you out. Pretty Easy Podcasts is where podcasters go to get their shows recorded and posted with a complete podcast studio at their disposal. Record from home or your office or anywhere, really. Pretty Easy Podcasts caters to your schedule and gives you a producer for your show at your beck and call. Go to prettyeasypodcasts.com, sign up today, be heard, have some fun podcasting, and don't let a lack of technical knowledge hold you back. Go to prettyeasypodcasts.com today.
This is the future. This is not the past.
The new XFL will kick off in 2020.
If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
It's still football, but it's professional football reimagined.
This is our moment, our story to tell. This is history begun.
This is the XFL!
Welcome, football fans. This is the week of September 15th, 2019. This is the road to 2020, and this is the XFL show. I'm Alan.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Bryant.
Vince is going to be with us later on. This week, we didn't get our second XFL player signee, but some more players entered the draft pool, and it was revealed the XFL will feature seats on the sidelines. This is episode 86, best seat in the house, where we are 21 weeks away from kickoff in 2020. It is getting closer. It's getting interesting with some prices maybe trickling out that we'll talk about for season tickets. Fans in the cities, in all 8 cities, are getting excited. They're getting phone calls and they're getting info on exciting new ways to watch the game at the stadiums. They're getting meet and greets and they're getting bear hugged by coaches, Bryant. A lot's going on this road to 2020.
Blackjack, baby, 21 weeks. Wow, that is incredible. Yes, fans are getting more and more hyped based on all these meet and greets. St. Louis, LA this past week. I believe some more announced for Tampa Bay and Houston, if I do recall, and DC this coming week. So check your local markets for an XFL meet and greet coming to a town near you. But yes, Alan, things are getting great for fan engagement. You can start to sense, people are talking about it. I've sat down and had conversations with people who didn't know it was happening, and now they do. 21 weeks, man. This is as close as something that I don't know. I couldn't even, words cannot explain how close we are to something that's going to be magical, I guess you could say.
It's as close as we've ever been.
It is.
Let's just leave it at that.
You're right, Jake. It's an unprecedented week because we're a lot of people don't realize this. We're closer to kickoff than we've ever been, and that's something we need to recognize at the start of this show and get ready to talk about some interesting things that will be happening in 2020 and also some things that have happened this week. But last week's show, just to recap it real quick, we talked about coaches turning in their preferred quarterback lists to the league so the league could sign them. And I got to say again, I'm kind of bummed. I'm that we didn't get a signee, a tier 1 like a Landry Jones signee this week. But I'm going to be patient, just like we were with team names. I did notice though at XFL show we received some tweets and some messages on Facebook. And I even saw some reactions to our posts we've put on Reddit occasionally. People specifically mentioned the name Brandon Weeden as a quarterback that I don't think we've talked a whole lot about, but some fans really want the former Cowboys backup to be in the XFL.
We talked about him, Alan. It was just off air, and your reaction was a little surprising that he would actually be brought up. Me and Vince talked about him a little bit on Patreon when we exclusively went through all the cuts that the NFL made a couple weeks ago. A formidable backup in this league, in the NFL, could be a great starting quarterback in this league. Brandon Weeding, if he wants to play, I'm sure that Oliver Luck and company will have a spot for him on the tier 1 level.
Yeah, it's getting really interesting with the tier 1s. We'll talk about them in greater detail in a little bit, but with some players some names popping up that we didn't consider because now we know some, the lay of the land more so in the NFL. It's becoming a different kind of conversation, and the practice squads, especially in the NFL, influencing this a whole lot. Devlin Hodges, who I know you watched, Jake, in the preseason with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is now officially on the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad. And a name we all were talking about, Cardale Jones, who was with the Chargers, is now with the Seattle Seahawks on their practice squad. Does that mean they're 100% unavailable for the XFL? No. But most likely they're unavailable until the end of the NFL season. These practice squad players are going to be making about $5,700 a week, and they get paid over the entire regular season of the NFL season, and that could be up to about $100,000 or so, Jake. So these guys are signing with teams to just be reserves, but it just means the XFL might have to wait a little longer to get them, or they're just not going to get them at all because they've got the NFL opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I really think you would rule these, at least these two names specifically, would rule them out. Week 17 is going to take us into, December? Mid-December, late December, something like that. And I mean, if they're on the practice squad, for 17 weeks, that's a cool $100,000. I don't think there's any way you can say no to that. Now, of course, we know that you could be released from the practice squad at any time. I believe that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier, but these are quarterback positions. They're probably not going anywhere.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on them throughout the rest of the NFL season because practice squad players can get cut and they can become available to the XFL. But right now, two of those two names specifically that we've talked about would be great for the XFL, seemingly unavailable as of this moment. So while the XFL did not sign any top quarterbacks that they'll distribute among the 8 teams, some players did enter the XFL draft pool. They're not going to wait for their NFL shot. They're going to go after their XFL opportunities. And really cool to see Jeremiah Spicer, the linebacker, get an invitation from Oliver Luck, the commissioner's invite, because a lot of us following the league have heard his story and understand the crazy, crazy road he's had to get to this point. Really, really awesome story. Jeremiah Spicer Bryant, who grew up as an orphan and actually lived on Skid Row in Los Angeles, will be a part of the XFL draft.
Yeah, and I had the fortunate opportunity to actually meet Jeremiah at a few of the LA meet and greets. Great guy, full of energy, looking for a chance. Saw him at the LA Summer Showcase as well, and I'm glad he got an opportunity. And he made waves in the XFL, and the XFL even did a cool little short on him on social media about a month or two ago now. But it's actually been it's actually going to be a great story, and hopefully he can make a team and make a squad and make an impact in this league. That's all what this league is about, is opportunities for those who have been passed up basically their entire life.
Yep. So Jeremiah Spicer is really one of the really feel-good stories going into the season and into the draft. We'll see where he lands. If he lands a spot, still has to get drafted, but really cool. I know everybody following the league knows that story. It's tremendous. And then I think the XFL even put out a tweet about him too. I mean, on their official social media. So really awesome there. And then Vince is going to be on the show a little bit later. He's late to the studio today, but he's got stuff going on. But I talked to him about this earlier this week. He's a big fan of LJ Scott, the running back who played for Michigan State. I believe he succeeded Le'Veon Bell there for the Spartans. He enters the XFL draft pool as well, Jake. And I know we talked about, running backs kind of being a dime a dozen, but a player like that was on some NFL camps, you want as high of a caliber running back as you could get, and yet that might end up being one of the better running backs in the XFL, if you ask my personal opinion, knowing that particular player, LJ Scott.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You can't sleep on that position, even though almost all football leagues are passing leagues right now. I know you watch much more CFL than I have in my lifetime, but it's still a position that you got to have. Swing them to, even if you're not handing it off. You got to block, swing them out to the outside for a quick grab and run. Let me go back a little bit. I want to go back to what you guys were saying about this Spicer, Jeremiah Spicer here. Do you think, once the league gets these players, are they going to want to know more about their personal lives and try to maybe focus on them, weeks leading up to the XFL, whenever hopefully they're running these programs on Fox and ESPN to try to get people interested in the league and get people personally invested on some of these players?
I think you need some features like that for sure. Let's hope that we get one of those tearjerker Tom Rinaldi packages on Jeremiah Spicer. That would kill on ESPN. But I'm hoping the XFL has a kind of, a magazine portion to talk TV lingo there, where they have it all set up for not just, talking about the league and the games and everything going on, but also, doing features on specific stories that players bring into the XFL. Because really, at the end of the day, you want to tell some great stories to get people interested, Bryant. So a guy like Jeremiah Spicer, he needs to perform on the field. Of course, it's a football league, but he has this incredible story that I think could inspire a lot of people, could be obviously great for getting attention for the league and for just being quality entertainment on one of the TV partners.
No, yeah, you definitely want to sell the story of players. Even the AAF tried to do this a little bit, and it just allows the communities and fans to relate to some of these players, to understand them, to sympathize with them, to support them in some way, shape, or form. So I definitely think the XFL will do this for many players, many teams, whether they get a special on ESPN or Fox or something like that for these players, who knows? But definitely, I think some packages, at least in the pregame or during halftime, things like that for sure.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying you're going to get a 30-minute program on just one player, but, some, little outside the lines action or, something of that nature.
Yeah. Quick programming note, I believe, is Bob Stoops on Outside the Lines yet? Has that happened, or he was going to be on? He's going to be on next week. I believe we heard that rumor going around that Bob Stoops would be on ESPN, probably talking about his he has a book out, but the Dallas Renegades head coach, general manager, also be talking XFL there on ESPN, and get ready to see a lot more coverage on that channel, on the Fox channels regarding the XFL. Like we said, we're closer than ever. That means the TV stations, the TV channels, the cable networks are getting their stuff together. They're getting their ideas, their programming in order. I even saw a social media post of one of the college broadcast staffs, doing one of the college games this week, the North Carolina game for ESPN. I saw Matt Hasselbeck was going to be a part of, I guess, the people covering their game this week, but he was in like a meeting. They said behind the scenes with Coach Mac Brown, and in it you see Matt Hasselbeck, who works for ESPN, wearing a XFL shirt or a sweatshirt, Bryant. So that might be
Dragons, right?
Yeah, Dragons. Yeah, he's wearing a Seattle Dragons shirt. You're right. Yeah, and obviously he was a Seattle Seahawk. But could that be a sign of some people that might be involved in the broadcast on the ESPN side of the XFL?
If that's the case, then Matt Hasselbeck can't do any Seattle Dragon games. I mean, that's just a favoritism right there.
Conflict of interest.
It was pretty cool to see. Conflict of interest, definitely. That's definitely cool to see those types of things out there. There's been a lot of sightings of fan signs and people wearing the jerseys. I saw Jim Zorn this past week throwing out the first pitch at a Seattle Mariners game. So to see, like I said earlier, is to see all this thing starting to rile up, all the fans starting to get intrigued, people have noticed, celebrities wearing gear. It's going to be pretty cool once 2020 comes around, and it's not just what is this? It's going to be like finally it started for so many people.
Yeah, and I know for sure Matt Hasselbeck was probably walking around the offices at ESPN and walking around wherever he was there covering the college game. If wherever he's wearing that, people are stopping him saying, "Where'd you get that?" Because I wear some my very little XFL gear I have that I was able to score at some of the press conference in December. And anytime someone sees, where did you get that XFL hat? Where'd you get that shirt? Where can I get one? People are interested in the merch, and we'll get into drawing interest in talking about the XFL with people when you come across them that way. I know all of us have dealt with some of that since we've been covering the league now for 86 weeks. And it's really interesting to think about. But when you see someone like Matt Hasselbeck wearing a Seattle Dragons sweatshirt, that is great for the league. It's just more people making the league visible. Love seeing that. Also, going back to players, we got an interesting email this week, Brian. Something called the Pacific Pro Scrimmage. I don't know if they reached out to you to get you to try out, or if it's because the XFL is rumored to be in attendance in Whittier as some street free agents, as the website calls them, are given an opportunity to showcase some talents. Seems like a last kind of showcase if the LA Wildcats or other XFL officials or scouts are in attendance. Last chance for players to show off before the draft. But this Pacific Pro Scrimmage going on in Whittier, California, appears to be pretty interesting. They're claiming that the Browns, the Niners, the Chargers, Rams, even the CFL's Calgary Stampeders will have scouts in attendance. So we get players reaching out to us at XFL Show on social media all the time, and they ask us, how can we get in this? How can I play in this league? Here's my tape. We're not the scouts for the league. We can't really get you into a locker room. We cover the league. We talk with the league officials occasionally. But the best way is to find opportunities like this, I guess, Brian. And they do have a register page at proscrimmage.com.
Yeah, so no official word from the XFL on being in attendance, but the email did state that they would be. I did hear Coach Moss. I'll give a little bit of what happened this past week at my meet and greet. Not my meet and greet, at the LA Wildcats meet and greet.
That was your meet and greet. That was like the Brian Coach Moss meet and greet.
But Coach Moss, a lot of players were in attendance to that as well, trying to get to get their names out there and to meet the coaches. And Coach Moss said that there's going to be some opportunities out there that they will look at open tryouts or things like that will allow these players to show their talents. And if the coaches and the staff feel like they are worthy of a draft invitation, that they will communicate with the league that they want them in the draft. So it's obviously easier said than done, but to get this opportunity of, these street free agent type workouts is huge. And if this is true, this Pacific Pro Scrimmage company, I guess you could say, if they're going to be there, then, that's where you're going to want to see these types of things happening all over in Seattle, St. Louis, New York, New Jersey, those types of places. So that way those street free agents can get one last opportunity to try to get into that XFL draft pool.
Yes, and then beyond that, because the league's always going to be looking for talent. That's going to be crucial. That process is never ending. The player development and the football operations going on with the league. Last bit of business before we get into everything for this week. Going back to last week, it looks like apparently former Raven, Patriot, Texan, Arkansas Razorback quarterback Ryan Mallett, who was rumored to have signed on to join the XFL draft pool, or even I heard some people saying he might be a tier 1 signee. That was never official or made public, but Ryan Mallett, the quarterback, arrested on suspicion of DWI in Springdale, Arkansas earlier in the week. And obviously that's no good for him, and definitely not good for the XFL if any of these coaches were planning on having Ryan Mallett on those lists we talked about last week, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was, we didn't have any hard evidence. It was really just rumor and innuendo that he, was on one of these lists or possibly considered to be in the draft pool. But I think that's, that is long gone now. This man has much more, bigger problems to deal with.
Yeah, so he was at one of the showcases, I believe. I want to say he was at the Houston showcase, Brian, but I don't know. I don't know if that was for sure the city, but he was definitely at one of them. I would have definitely tabbed Brian Mallett as someone who would have made an XFL roster, but knowing that the league has already kind of put it out there, they don't want riffraff of this sort, you got to believe this guy is not going to be stepping foot on an XFL field at all. Would you guess that? I mean, this obviously has to play out, but anytime you have a look like this, especially when the league's starting up, they're going to want to avoid players like that at all costs, won't they?
Yeah. Would I put it at 100% that he wouldn't be in the league? No. I mean, again, you'll let this play out and see what happens. But I did have him down as one of those like emergency tier 1 quarterbacks that if you needed somebody to fill one of those last spots in the tier 1, that Ryan Mallett would have been the guy. And now he's getting into these, again, personal issues that have plagued him his entire life. It's unfortunate that, when you have one more opportunity, whether it be your last or not, you don't want to pass those up or squander those for whatever the reason may be. But now, Ryan Mallett's probably, I definitely don't think he's any type of tier 1 anymore. And he probably is going to, I'm not going to say that he's not going to get drafted, but it just seems very unlikely. The league originally, this is the very first announcement, mentioned the no tolerance policy, the zero tolerance policy. It's kind of seemed a little more lackadaisical since then. We never really got a true definition of it all since then. So who knows if the league is saying no to this man just because of that. But in terms of moral, do you really want to put your league attached to a player like Ryan Mallett at this point? Time will tell.
Yeah, probably not. Would like it to be as squeaky clean as possible, but we'll monitor that. I'm sure the backgrounds of every player will be checked by the league, and we'll vet them as well on this show, and other people covering the league will be keeping an eye on that, because it's obviously something that is well, I don't want to say fun to talk about, but it's reported on a lot and talked about a lot when personal issues of football players. So hopefully we could, like I said on our Patreon show this week, Brian, I just want to talk about the damn football games and the football going on, but sometimes this extracurricular stuff creeps in. Speaking of the Patreon, we've got a lot going on there. It wasn't the exhausting week you put me through last week, Brian, but still a whole lot of fun talking not XFL stuff and XFL stuff. I know you and Jake even got together talking fashion.
Alan, you're talking about last week, even the last month. We've been, cramming and putting so much into this Patreon. I believe we broke the server at some point, it seems like. But yes, there's tons of content out there. Me and Jake, I don't know if you guys remember last week, but Jake was furiously Googling and searching for your XFL
I don't think
concepts.
I think you're blowing this out of proportion here.
We heard this, Jake. This is what we heard the entire time. You typed it along towards the end of the show because you really wanted to see this concept. So I let you have the floor. We talked about helmets and jerseys exclusively on Patreon. We looked at some of your concepts. So if you put a concept out there, we probably talked about it. Again, exclusively on Patreon. Don't forget, you always have This Is Not the XFL Show, where we talk all college football and regular NFL football. Alan, yes, it is a very interesting time in the world of professional football when it comes to the other league. And then we have our monthly bonus show. You can listen to this show commercial free as well as a day early if you're in the right tier. Tons of content. Go back and listen to some of the archives as well. A lot of that stuff is still relatable. Vince and I did a tier 1 discussion, so plenty of content. Go check it out. Patreon.com/This Is the XFL Show. You can get started for as little as $3. So it's actually, I think, a pretty good deal. And again, you have a lot of free stuff out there too. We did a NCAA preview, a fantasy football preview, as well as an NFL season preview. Those are free exclusively on Patreon. So go ahead and check it out. Again, that's patreon.com/This Is the XFL Show.
Now we can get to the topics of the day. And I don't know, I'm so excited to talk about some of this. I'm kind of dreading when Vince gets on because I think he's going to be talking some doom and gloom on some other stuff. But before we get into the things that I'm kind of alluding to there, really the main event is going to be a part of this week's cover too, and it's going back to what we said earlier. They had a meet and greet specifically just for Bryant in Los Angeles. It's amazing.
Going for 2. Go for 2 and the lead.
So here we go, part 1. Bryant attends the LA Wildcats meet and greet Monday Night Football watch party, which I believe was in Hollyweird. Correct, Bryant? You were in the middle of the glitz, the glamour, and Norm Chow?
Yeah, some of them call it Hollywired, but we'll just continue with Hollyweird, I guess. That's fine.
Hollywood, California, and you watch some fascinating NFL football while discussing football with football geniuses, namely Norm Chow, Winston Moss, And I even saw a picture where you were given, a headlock or a bear hug? What was going on? Were you having a wrestling match with Coach Moss?
I was giving Coach Moss a headlock. Are you out of your mind? You think I would ever attempt that in a million years? No bear hugs this time around. Coach Moss said, "Don't get up, grab me from behind," in a playful way, of course. This time around, I decided to bring the missus to kind of show her what I've been doing with the LA Wildcats. Everybody was gracious enough, as always. Heather was there. Some of the media people that I've been working with were gracious enough to spend some time, chit chat, talk. Coach Moss is always great. They had a Q&A. I was able to ask some questions as well. No, Alan, unfortunately, I did not ask him the Antonio Brown question. Strictly XFL questions only is what I stuck to. But yeah, it was a great event. There was giving away free merch. They had some raffles, drinks, and lots of engagement. I just sitting there. It's hard to imagine this happening with any other type of league in the world. And to see the XFL doing this is pretty awesome, because now I have a great photo. I think it actually might be the cover photo of this week's episode.
I don't know about
me.
That'd make it easy on me. Yeah, send that over.
No, was this at a sports bar? Or where
it was not a specific. It was more of a bar. I wouldn't call it like a sports specific bar, but it was definitely a outdoor patio type. It had an indoor bar as well. Only bar foods, so it was definitely a bar. I wouldn't say it's a sports bar, but plenty of TVs too. It was a really nice setting.
You would think you would think they would have had it at Norm Chow's famous restaurant, Mr. Chow's. Doesn't he run that joint? Isn't that Norm Chow's?
I don't think that's how that works.
He's not said Mr. Chow? Oh.
That's his cousin. No, it sounds pretty informal. Am I correct on that?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's very laid back, and everybody's
so
there
like,
to greet you.
It's not like you get in, you gotta sit down and you wait for the introduction or something. Everybody just kind of goes about their business, and then once Coach Moss, starts getting everybody's attention, you better start listening.
Oh yeah, there's a great video on Instagram and Twitter, I believe, that the Wildcats put up of Coach Moss getting everybody riled up. Alan, you asked for battle cries a couple weeks ago. Well, he was saying, "Here we go, Wildcats, here we go." So I guess that's what it is now, because that's what we're going to be doing every Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, very informal, very relaxed. They answered questions. Family members of everyone was there. Like I said, I brought my wife. She enjoyed it heavily. Loved Coach Moss. And then at the very end of the day of the New Orleans game, the Saints game, I'm sitting there. This is why you need to go, because moments like this you can never think that will ever happen. So this is why you go. I'm standing up. It's Saints down, whatever, fourth and whatever the last play before they have to kick the field goal. And I look to my right. I looked to my right, and who's standing next to me but Norm Chow. Norm Chow's standing next to me. So I just turned casually towards Norm Chow, and I'm like, "Coach, what would you do on this play?" And he breaks it down. He's like, "The safety's a little too far to the left. You don't need to hug the sideline because you still got the timeout. Maybe like a 5-yard snap, get you into field goal range. You still got the timeout. Call your timeout and kick the field goal." And sure enough, Drew Brees, 5-yard slant. I forget who caught the ball. Boom, right in the middle of the field. Timeout, kicks the field goal, wins the game. And I was so amazed at what just happened that it didn't hit me until hours later that I was talking football strategy with Norm Chow. Like, what never in my wildest imagination that I ever think that was going to happen.
Is it possible?
It was one of the greatest moments of.
Is it possible that they're just ribbing you and they paused the game while you were in the bathroom and then they started it back up on the DVR?
Oh, don't you be talking crap about my.
You're talking about a legit offensive genius, Jake. Yeah, I believe that 100%. That's awesome, and that's only at an XFL meet and greet. So you got to imagine that's happening in the 7 other cities, Bryant, where they are having these kind of informal gatherings where they're allowing, fans or prospective fans or casual fans or people just want to dip their toe into seeing what this XFL thing's all about to show up and literally talk football with the coaches and that are going to coach your team and the people that are going to run the business end of your team. They're all there having an awesome time. And seeing the pictures, the videos, talking to you, Bryant, it sounds like the most fun ever. And unfortunately for Jake, Vince, and I, we live a little bit of a drive away from our
figure it out. You need to figure it out. Go to one. I don't care. DC, St. Louis, New York. Figure it out and go. It's amazing.
I know
what this experience is. It's so much fun. And Jake, I know I've been rubbing it in your face since day one, but really, this is really a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the next one. And again, it's just they make you feel like a part of the team, and I guess in one way or shape or another, you really are. And it's truly the fans are a part of this build towards 2020.
Oh, like I think I've said this before, and I'll say this all the way up and down the road to 2020, but you're a ground floor fan. I've brought this up to you before, Jake. Imagine if you could say we are lifelong Steelers fans, right? Outright, we'll let everyone know that. Imagine, though, if we could have called ourselves the first Steelers fans. That's like a badge of honor. That's like something you could put on your tombstone. One of the first fans of a team.
With a certificate of authenticity.
Yeah, I mean, that comes with a certain level of prestige. And then imagine if you call yourself one of the first fans of the XFL's Los Angeles Wildcats, or one of the first DC Defenders fans. Imagine that. And imagine also you said, yeah, I was one of the first fans, and every single game that year I sat on the sidelines, because you could have that opportunity in the XFL, apparently, because their partners, their ticketing partner, Elevate Sports Ventures, who we spoke about when they signed their 2-year agreement with the company to get together the marketing and the ticketing for the league. They announced this week, Al Guido, the chief executive at Elevate Sports Ventures, announced at a conference in New York City that premium sideline seating would be incorporated into the XFL, and that is going to give fans a different kind of front row seat for a football game. This sounds similar to me, at least, of like what you'd get at a basketball game, Bryant, and that is crazy to think about, because I just can't believe it's never been done before. Have you ever seen fans actually placed on a sideline at a football game, a pro football game? This could be really cool.
I mean, I've seen everybody else at a football game on the sidelines. Why not fans? I guess at this point, there's so many people on the sideline, to be honest. I don't know where they would fit fans, but it would be kind of cool to have these types of seats. You know, you see in Lambeau Field, those end zone seats are really close to the back of the end zone. There's not that big gap like you see in some other stadiums. But where do you put them? You put them on the 50. I know if you're too low, you kind of run out of the visibility. It would be kind of cool to see this. I just don't know exactly where you'd put them.
Would you want to sit there more than once, though? Because I think I'd want to do it once for the experience. But, I mean, for actually viewing the game, I don't think it would be great.
Yeah, so everyone knows when you're on a football sideline, that there's a reason why coaches and really the entire team run up and down it, because you want to be able to see what's going on, and you got to literally follow the action, because you're field level. You don't have the bird's eye view you might have sitting in the coaches club, in the stadium. But being on the field, there's something about the experience, and also who knows what other kind of perks are going to come with that. I mean, people are going to be paying more for these seats, we assume. So you're probably going to get, I don't know, maybe merch, or maybe you're going to get access to, who knows, maybe the locker room. I don't know. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that could happen. And when you're on the sideline, you're literally next to the team too. You'll be hearing the craziness that's going on among the team on the sideline during the game. That is a different kind of way to watch a game. That, who knows?
What about sideline passes?
Sideline passes are something we've heard about before, where you're standing around, but actually like sitting in maybe like a taped off area. Who knows if this will be on the 25, away from where the team is, or maybe it'll be right behind them, or maybe right in the middle of them. Who knows? All I know is that it's a different kind. It's something that you're, like Jake said, maybe just once to see what it's like, but who knows? Maybe people do it and say, "Oh my goodness, this is unbelievable! I have to do this every week." Either way, it's just a cool added thing the XFL's offering that I think is pretty clever and exciting. And the best part about the ticketing so far that we've heard is that it's going to be extremely affordable. Either way, if you want to pay barely anything. I mean, we're hearing from fans hitting us up. We get a lot of messages saying, I got a call from St. Louis Battlehawks today, and they said tickets are going on sale soon. And people are saying they're hearing between $25 to $125 for a ticket. Super affordable. $25 a ticket. I mean, you might be sitting up a little higher, but hey, you could bring a family of 4 to a football game for $100. That's unheard of in today's day and age. So adding sideline seating as well, just another option when it comes to experiencing the XFL, and that's what they're giving fans. I mean, from the meet and greets to that, different kinds of ways to experience the XFL, to get involved. That's what you have to do when you're starting up a league, if you ask me. Something they didn't do back in 2001, Brian.
You could add so many things to that list of the things they didn't do in 2001. This is another innovative way, whether it works or it doesn't. It's a shot that they're going to take, right? You what is it? You miss 100 pitches of the balls that you don't swing at, whatever it is. It's really just the XFL trying different things. It's going to be different, I would think, by stadium, whether you're going to be able to fit, exactly where you're going to be able to put these fans. But if it's possible and you want to do something a little different and it's just season 1, and if it doesn't work out, then you don't do it for season 2. It's pretty straightforward. I don't see the harm in doing something like this unless, Jake, you see some kind of harm in doing this for the fans, at least this season.
Jake, I got a feeling, are you going to call this thing a gimmick? Do you not like this? This seems like something you would despise.
I would love to try it once, but again, where are you going to put them? In the corner of the end zone where you can only see half the field?
Can I pitch it to you? This is what I want to do. I mean, we're talking premium, the word premium. Let's give them premium. Why not make it on the sideline at the 50-yard line? Just put tape it off, a nice red velvet rope from about 10 yards wide. You fit a select few amount of fans in there, and they literally sit among the coach has got a coach around them. Put them right there on the sideline.
I don't think you want to hinder the coaches and the players like that. Or, we've seen big sporting events with couches in the front row. Sometimes it goes over well, sometimes not so well. I mean, oh my gosh, talk about imagine if you were doing this in the old XFL. I don't think it would work.
That would have been dangerous.
Some of those scantily clad cheerleaders, people would be throwing dollar bills or something if you had sideline seats. My gosh.
That's not what they weren't doing that. Do not embellish. But
it's a different league.
The question of safety did come up when Al Guido of Elevate Sports Ventures announced this, Bryant. How do you keep fans safe if you're putting them on the sidelines? I guess they're going to have to be a ways back from the actual, out of bounds markers. They're not going to be right there where the hash marks turn white. They're going to be, inward towards the bleachers a little bit.
Alan, there's no white on the field. What are you talking about anyway?
Are you trying to mess with me because I'm colorblind? That's rude.
So for the safety concerns, you're going to have to put them behind the players, but to do that, you're going to have to lift them up. And if you lift them up too high, then you're going to hinder the fans in the stands behind them. So it's going to be weird to be able to have this balance. That's why every stadium is going to be different, I would think, on how you offer these premium seats.
Could they put them right there where I said on the 50, but maybe just like put them in a shark cage? Is that a possibility? How do you get this
roll
done?
cage?
You just have some player going for a catch and just ends up with his helmet stuck between the bars? Is that what you're thinking?
Just put everybody in like those big inflatable hamster balls, and you could just go wherever you wanted to. Not on the field, obviously, but
running Norm Chow over on the sideline.
Do you think they'll bring back the Bubba cam and just call it the fan cam?
That's
sit on the sidelines with the hockey mask, helmet and mask on.
I mean, I do what I'm hoping that this is done in some way that we can't. You bring up hockey because this is what I pictured. Because nothing's better. The best part about hockey is those fans are almost on the ice and they're like basically in the penalty box. So you could get the blue man or the green man or whatever the person wearing the goofy one-piece suit with their head covered dancing in front of a coach with like glass in between them or something.
Yeah, I mean the only thing separating them in the field is 3/4 of an inch probably.
Yeah.
I mean there's all kinds of ways I can't picture or fathom exactly how they plan on doing this. They just announced that they're going to do it, and I like it. I just can't wait to see what they actually do with it because for football, it is it is a different animal compared to all the other sports. And then now in baseball, you've got netting to protect fans who are traditionally, those seats have been there forever, but now we've got netting, so safety concerns, and you're just able to be on the field for those sports or the ice or the court. It's open. Football, it's a gridiron. I mean, they do have to be a ways away. I can't wait to see what it looks like. I'm very excited for it. I'm excited that they're thinking outside the box, especially Brian. I guess that's the main takeaway we got to get out of this announcement.
Yeah, again, it's just another change that the XFL is going to make, a slight one at that, but hopefully something that be like, hey, I went to an XFL game and I send these things called the premium seats. You really need to try these, and then you get somebody else to do it the next week. That's probably what it is. It's fine. Like I said, it's not going to hurt the league. Well, hopefully, but I don't think it will hurt the league to do something like this, at least reputation-wise. So if it doesn't work, you just don't do it the second season and you move on.
Yeah, this is low risk right here. This is interesting thinking outside the box, but this isn't something like they're trying to make a change. The changes to the game are way more critical than this Elevate Sports Ventures sideline seating that we're talking about, but interesting nonetheless. Hey Brainiacs, it's Long Island Iced Tea here, and this week on BBR, we're talking pro graps with you, but we are going to clash, and we're clashing hard.
Long Island Iced Tea, yes, we're clashing. We clash all the time on Brainbuster Radio, but specifically this week, we have the King of the Ring finale. We have every championship on the line. It's pure insanity right now in the WWE, and Brainbuster Radio is going to be here to take you every step of the way through Clash of Champions, because there's like 15 titles on the line. Jake, how am I going to keep this in order?
Oh, it's going to be difficult even for somebody as gifted as myself, but I just can't wait until the boss is going to have championship gold around her waist again. I may even cheer for Bayley going against Charlotte, and that's something I would never, ever do. Wow. But it's a new day, yes, it is.
I don't know about that, Triple J, but I do know that after all of these championship matches happen, and we have all these champions celebrating at the end of the night, you know what I want to do? Do you know? We gotta get out the tall boys. Not the tall boys. We'll be having a little bit of the bubbly. And it's all on Brainbuster Radio at the Brainbusters. Tweet it, read it, tout it, shout it, be all about it on Twitter, Instagram Junior, and Facebook, Brainiacs. We are coming! All right, so now that takes us to our main topic of the week, and you get a front row premium sideline seat to a discussion on Tier 1 quarterbacks, as well as, philosophy. Really? Philosophy? Yeah. How we go about explaining the XFL to people who might not know about it at all. It's this week's Hot Read.
Blue 58! Blue 58! Go! Hey, Ric Flair! Ric Flair! Pepper, Flip, Caliber.
Motown, happy, jolly, drop, Buster, Boomer, Tiger. I think he's got a hound too, Rodney, I think.
B-19! B-19! Hey, Seattle! Ryan!
R83! No Tier 1 quarterbacks announced this week, but some free agents who were in camps are now on practice squads. Now, while that's disheartening in one respect, as we've talked about, you have to remember that the XFL technically can just wait for the NFL season to end if they want before they sign these Tier 1 players. There's no timetable that's a hard, gotta sign these players, you gotta adhere to. There's nothing like that, although we have been told that the Tier 1 players would be signed in the fall. That being said, would it be risky for the XFL to maybe rethink signing these players, all of them, all 8 of them, before the draft, and wait for practice squad players to maybe become available again? Do they lay out, Jake, and wait for these players to be out there on the market in January?
I think that would be a mistake. I don't think you want to wait that long. You're talking about signing players in the fall. We still got, I think, 10 more days at least from whenever we're recording this for the official beginning of fall. But I don't think you want to wait till Christmas to start signing players. I think you want them in place. You want them to start learning your systems. You want to have brand identity. You want to know who you're going to go to and watch on the field. I think it is too risky, at least in my book, to wait for them. I mean, really, what are you waiting for? It's not like, Drew Brees is going to be available.
No, well, not Drew Brees, but when you're talking about the difference between
practice squad quarterbacks,
they're talking about the difference between some of those guys on practice squads, and Cardale Jones being one of them, with a lot of coaches liking, his style of play. I mean, coaches might want to wait. I don't know, though. That's an interesting notion. It might be different.
The general manager.
Yeah, it might be different across all 8 teams, how they go about, how they approach telling the league, to acquire quarterbacks. If the league says no, hard stop, gotta have them before the draft, that's it. But if maybe Bob Stoops or Pep Hamilton or any of the coaches wants to wait, maybe they should have that option, Brian. Although, again, it is risky because even when the season ends, these players still might want to hold off for NFL opportunities, even though practice squad players are fully available once the regular season's over.
Yeah, Alan, so this past week at the meet and greet that I was at, the question was asked, what kind of players is the XFL or the Wildcats specifically going to be looking for, or what kind of team are they going to have? What offense are they going to run? And Norm Chow and Coach Massa said it's going to depend on who we draft, who's available to us, what our team's going to be built of. So I can't imagine that a quarterback's going to be waiting, until January to get signed. The only problem here is, you're right, Alan, there's no timetable, there's no worry, there's nothing. Yeah, as long as it's signed by February 4th or whatever, 8th, then it's all good. But the XFL did kind of tie their own hands when they said that these quarterbacks would be signed before the draft. So Oliver Luck, I've said it before, I said again, is it time for concern? No. Is it disheartening? A little bit, because we always want information. But, again, we'll be patient. But I don't think it's time to be worried or anything like that, only because Oliver Luck, as smart of a man as he is, would never make that sort of statement if he didn't know that was going to happen. So he's not going to say that we're going to sign these quarterbacks before the draft if he knew that he might not be able to accomplish that.
So do you think, so that brings us to this next question then. Do you think the XFL is on the schedule that they told us they were on, that all these players would be signed before the draft, or is this proving to be tougher than the league maybe hoped it would be, getting the 8 quarterbacks in line? I mean, they signed Landry Jones, and you didn't expect this long of a lull between his signing and the other signings, did you? Or are we some of us just being impatient, kind of how we were making fun of people with team names? Is this just impatience, or is this really a cause for, not concern, but just something that's curious? Why was one guy signed and now it's taking so long for the next guys to be signed?
Alan, if you want, we can go back and talk about insurance again. I mean, that's
no,
totally
thank
up to
you.
Or we can have like an XFL Classic player, something like that. No, you're right. Look, Landry. In retrospect, maybe you hold the Landry Jones signing until after the names, because it happened so quickly that, remember, Landry Jones happened about 4 days before that first little snippet of a logo came out, and everybody kind of not forgot about Landry Jones, but churned their focus. So yeah, maybe in retrospect, you maybe make that announcement after the team names were announced, because now you have this lull where nothing really new is coming out. But I think it's both. I think the XFL is still on track to do what they want to do. It may be a little bit more difficult, but earlier when you were talking about the quarterbacks that signed on the practice squads for $96,000 or $100,000, if they're tier 1, from what we were told before, tier 1s were making at least $400,000. So why would these quarterbacks decide to stick on the practice squad? Is probably because of the chance they get to become a actual backup and be dressed on a Sunday, I would think. But I just really think there's going to be enough players out there that are going to want to skip the practice squad and say, yes, XFL, I'll come play for $400,000.
Or some of them are probably thinking, hey, if they want me, I'm down, but they got to wait because the timing lines up. If you're Cardale Jones, Devlin Hodges, as we've talked about, Kyle Sloter, Kyle Shermer, or any of these practice squad quarterbacks, it might behoove you to collect a check for the next, 15 weeks, 16 weeks, and after the NFL season, then say to the XFL, hey, I'm available. That might be happening. That just might be the way the cookie crumbles. It's going to be fascinating to see, because if the XFL wraps up all 8 tier 1 players by then they won't be able to pay those players maybe enough to lure them away from the NFL anymore, Jake. That's why earlier on I said I would wait. That would be the strategy from the get-go, but it doesn't appear that is the strategy. What do you think about that? A lot of players could be available in January.
I would be okay if one coach or two coach or multiple coaches, / GMs felt that it was best to wait until the NFL season was over. I would be fine with that. Now, do we know for sure, our practice squad players, are they free to go if they want to? I mean, we know that the team can let them go anytime they want, but do we know, if the Arizona Cardinals, if it's week 6, can you say, see you later, I got a better deal on the table?
No, you're under contract. The team could cut you whenever after, I believe, 2 weeks. The team can cut you.
That's what I thought.
You can't just get up and go. What? All NFL contracts have verbiage regarding playing in other pro football
showing
leagues.
Up. It's a practice squad. The NFL's not going to put up a fight for you to stick around if you're on a practice squad.
You don't think
they're going to get mad if you stop showing up and then some other NFL team signs you. That's another deal. But if you're going to just stop showing up and go to the XFL, the NFL's not going to care.
You just walk into somebody else's living room and sit down and start watching TV. That's the easiest thing to do.
You don't think the Seahawks will try to collect a bunch of
practice squad player says, "I don't want to play anymore"? They'll cut him. They're not going to have them stick around.
I mean, you could.
Why would you want a practice squad member that doesn't want?
You could request your release, but if you can't just leave, you'll get your pantsuit off. Come on, this is America.
For what? $5,700 a week?
And
how much are you making?
NFL teams have gone after much less money in the past from players.
Yeah.
Come on. Don't be naive.
What I'm saying is give them their $5,700 back and move on with your life and go to the XFL and show them what you can actually do and make $500,000. Look, I'm not worried about practice squad members not being available to the XFL. Now, I will say that I don't understand why specifically these quarterbacks are going to practice squads. There must be a chance for them to be making the first team on Sundays and getting dressed, because I'm sure if you dress for a game, you're getting paid way more than $5,700 that week. So that may be the opportunity that they're looking for. But I definitely think there's 7 other quarterbacks out there that are going to take the money on the XFL side and just try to work out and get some tape and move on.
Well, with not having any players right now to sell or talk about, it makes it difficult as just a fan and someone following the league, and also just for us people who do a podcast every week about the league. So for us, when we talk about the league to friends, family, whomever, sitting at the bar wearing an XFL hat, I'll strike up a conversation all the time. So I want to ask you guys this week, when someone asks you about the XFL, or when even you just bring it up to someone to see what they think about it, what's your approach? I mean, you've been podcasting for 86 weeks talking XFL. You know it like the back of your hand, Jake, but whenever you're talking to someone down the club, how do you, explain the concept of the league, or pitch it, or draw interest, or gauge their interest? How do you go about doing that?
I mean, what I would usually do is, I think the first thing I say is it's more professional football. And I stress the word professional, and then I immediately follow up with, this is not going to be the old XFL. Because a lot of people out there, a lot of guys still remember the old XFL. They remember that scramble in the beginning. They remember the cameras on the field in the huddle, the cameramen, wearing almost full pads, it looked like. So I try to get that stigma away from them. I tell them this is going to be, it's basically going to be NFL football for the most part. There are going to be rule changes, but they're not completely reinventing the game. Yeah, there's going to be different rules to try to keep people's attention, quicken up the pace of the game. But for the most part, it's regular football.
That's a good approach. Regular football. I mean, that's what people are going to ask you about gimmicks in 2001 if they were around and knew about it. Now, this week I was talking to future father-in-law about it, who's not even a football fan, was more interested in kind of the business aspect of it, and how, just trying to wrap his head around how there's going to be room for another football league where he knows the NFL so dominant, and if people do really clamor for football in the spring. And so my approach is always, you don't realize how really everyone's favorite sport is football. I mean, I think we neglect the fact that all the other sports we watch, yeah, sure, we like them. I love me some NHL hockey, for instance. But really, when you break it down, we're all enduring these other leagues until we can get to the insanity that is just look at the first 2 weeks of the NFL have been crushing. All headlines have been NFL, and they've been nonstop talk about NFL anywhere you look, even on College Football Saturday, Bryant. Pro football king in this country by a country mile, and that's how I kind of go about it. I mean, I just say basically it's more football, and it's also going to be a little bit different. It's going to be exciting. Some players also that you might recognize if you follow college football for sure, and it's going to be run by football people. It's not going to be, well, that sports entertainment type football that came in 2001. If you even remember that, if I'm talking to someone younger, don't really even have to bring that up. But that's kind of my philosophy, is that football is gigantic in this country. A lot of people don't even realize that, and I think they're going to find out come February 2020. Brian, what's your approach?
So I've had this a few times. Like you said, I had it at work one time in a meeting when we're all on mute while somebody was going off on some tangent on the conference call. We decided to talk some football. It happened at a Korean barbecue place, all you can eat, the other day too. And my approach to this is very simple. When someone asks me about the XFL, I say, "What do you want to know?" And I let them ask me the questions, because I'm not going to try to convey what the XFL is to somebody when they might only care about certain things. And I'd be like, "Well, this is what you can." Like my wife, when she asks me about football, she hates that it's so slow, and I tell her they're going to pick up the pace. There's a talk about a 25-second clock. There's talks about no stopping the clock during the entirety of the first 28 minutes of a half. And then I broach it that way. Whenever somebody asks me about the XFL, I literally just sit here and be like, "What do you want to know? What's the differences?" I can tell you some of the differences. I can tell you why I'm excited about it. I can tell you why it's different from 2001, if that's what you want to know. Really, I just let people ask the questions. And I think that's a good approach, because then people focus. You find out what people's focuses are on what they either like or don't like, or what they're interested in football. And then you figure out how the XFL is either doing that different, the same, or better, maybe even worse, who knows. That's how I like to approach it. Let them kind of guide the conversation along, and I'm just here to help you understand the parts that you want to understand.
Now, what would you tell them if they said, "Oh, the NFL is king, this league's not going to work," just like that AAF sideshow that was on TV for a couple weeks? What would you tell those people?
Well, I tell them the preparation of it all, and why the AAF went when it went, and why it failed, and what the XFL is doing to not, or try to avoid those types of things. It's a simple conversation when you say, "Hey, why aren't they going to fit? Why would this league be any better than what the AAF is?" And it's simple. It's because they're not the AAF. They're not doing what the AAF did. They didn't rush this. They're taking their time. We can go through the millions of simple reasons why, but it's really just because they're not the AAF. And when you tell somebody that, then they start getting more intrigued of like, "Well, what are they doing differently? Well, that's kind of interesting." And it just helps the conversation along. If I start blurting about the punting rules or the different quarterback tier system or anything like that, they might not care about any of those things. They might only care about the fact that there's going to be no fair catch on a punt.
Yeah.
That might be the only thing they care about. And I tell them that that's the thing.
Everyone's different. You're right. It's a different, you got to gauge who you're talking to for sure. Like, I'll tell you the easiest pitch I ever had, or at least explanation I had to give to someone, was sitting at a bar real late night on a Friday night, just like, well, later on tonight we're taping the show on a Friday, and said, "Hey, you know how you come into this bar every Saturday afternoon and every Sunday afternoon in the fall, and you're sitting here drinking, watching football? You know how you can't do that come February? You're going to be able to do that come February." And then the guy bought me a drink. That was the easiest one. And sometimes that's all you need. It gives some people something to get together and watch at a bar. And like
what if all the convincing you have to do is just say there'll be another legitimate reason to get away from your significant other. That might be enough for them.
Yeah, that, or hey, you want to do some more gambling in February? Come around. There's going to be more football.
Actually,
there's so many different reasons, and everybody
the biggest reason probably is the gambling and fantasy. If there is
but everybody has their own. Right, and everybody has their own reasons why they love football, why they hate football, why they dislike it. Like I said, again, my wife doesn't like watching football, but when I tell her about these different aspects of the XFL, she gets a little bit more excited every single time. And I'm telling her, hey, look, this thing that just happened right now, this would already be over with. Yesterday, I was watching the Carolina-Tampa Bay game, and they took knees at the end of the game, and I told her, this probably won't happen in the XFL.
Yeah.
They're going to have to play the football from the 1 yard line and try to get it out of there. If not, they're going to have to punt it away so that way the other team can get another chance.
And
that's the truth.
Or how it turned into the Mike Pereira show. Hopefully that's not going to be happening with the XFL.
There was a Winston Moss message on that show yesterday. Did you guys catch that? I got to see if I can find the tape. But Winston Moss name drop was happening, I think, by Aikman, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, I just approach it differently. Don't try to make this I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to make this, hey, the XFL is going to be better than the NFL. The XFL is king. Why are you watching? Like, this isn't a competition. It's a compliment, like Oliver, like you said. And that's how you have to treat it. Hey, if you like football in the fall, you'll like football in the spring because it's basically going to be the same thing with a few changes. Oh, what are those changes? Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, and if they ask you, well, what about the players? You know, you have to tell them, like I said, this is the game of football. Have you ever really had the opportunity to watch any of these other players in a spring league? No, you don't really know what they can do because it's a league with no minor league system except the NCAA, and you watch college football, most of you. So there's a reason why spring football has been tried and failed because everybody knows there's something out there. There's a clamoring for it, and someone's got to get it right. Hopefully this time around it is what everybody's been waiting for when it comes to spring football. And that's just kind of our little, segment there where you can kind of take our little philosophies whenever you're talking to someone, you gentle listener, about the XFL. If you have to explain to it, if you don't want to go too crazy and go into the weeds like Bryant said, just maybe gauge what kind of football fan they might be and pitch it to them accordingly or explain it to them accordingly. Like I said, Jake, I was talking to future father-in-law, not even a football fan. He wanted to know the business end. And that's also a very fascinating aspect of the XFL is just in terms of market share and television and it coming in here as this brand new entity that big time entities, media companies like ESPN and Fox are getting involved with. That's also interesting.
Yeah, you may want to go back into the archives and find that insurance episode because it sounds like he would be all in on it.
Oh, you know what? I'm not even joking. You're right. I'm going to go pull.
We should have asked him to be on the show. That would have. Although he would have showed us all up. He's
an accountant, so maybe we'll do like a Patreon special where he'll talk about all the money. The XFL business show. I'm going to try to get him to do one. That'll be good. All right. Well, let's go. He said he wanted to come in. He wanted to do a last minute run in at the very end of the show. Let Vince here, who just showed up to the studio, give his final opinion on this and give us his philosophy as well as what he thinks the XFL should be doing with the Tier 1 signings that we talked about here in the Hot Read. Vince, here, sit in and go at it. You got less than how much time should we give him here, Bryant? 2 minutes? 3 minutes?
Give him 2.5.
Vince, you get 2.5 minutes. Go.
All right. Well, let me tell you, Alan. I've actually been in this situation quite a bit where people have asked me, they've heard about this XFL coming back and they're not quite sure exactly what it is or why they should care or why it's going to be different than a league that only lasted 1 year, almost 20 years ago. And what I keep telling them is think about all the things you don't like about the NFL and then imagine that league fixed. And rectified and reimagined. That's what the XFL is going to be about. You think the NFL game is too slow? XFL is going to speed it up. You think that, the rules are too confusing and it draws out the game and it just doesn't seem fair. Well, the XFL is going to fix that. It's going to be about the quality of the play. It's not about the players that are going to be shuffling in and out. We want to see big stars, but at the end of the day, you want to see an exciting game. And that's what the XFL is going to bring each and every week starting in 2020.
All right, Vince, you got that. What about the Tier 1 situation? Real quick, do you see January being a possibility?
For Tier 1 guys to be signed?
Yeah, for the league to wait till January to maybe sign some of the guys that are wrapped up on practice squads right now.
And that's tough to do with the supposed draft coming in October, don't you think?
That's what we've been talking about, but really the league's on no time constraint, like self-imposed. They don't have to.
January seems way too late to me because you want to have these guys practicing, specifically if they're going to be big-time quarterbacks. They got to be practicing with the team and get ready to play. It is all about the quality of the play here. The more time these teams get to practice, the better they're going to be.
The quality of the play.
Come February. So really, you're only talking about 1 month at most if you're talking about January. That seems way too late to me.
That was way longer than 2.5.
Yeah, when he gets going, it's tough to get. It's tough to stop him. That's for sure. But what are you going to do? He's got it.
I still like my approach better.
Just saying. He's got a contract, and it lasts for 17 weeks. But then once that's up, Bryant, we could get rid of him. Get him off the practice squad.
Are we only committed to 2 weeks? Yeah. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Does he only have 17 more dates on his contract? Is that why he's doing these quick run-ins?
Vince's contract is way more complicated than Cardell Jones's. I don't want to even get into that. Fun show. Talk some philosophy. Talk Tier 1 quarterbacks or lack thereof. Talked front row seating. Best seats in the house. Had a lot of fun. And I look forward to next week. Next week, I don't know what's going to happen. If we're going to get signings, if Bryant and Winston Moss are going to have another run in where you can get in a wrestling match, or if Bryant's going to end up working for Norm Chow as an offensive assistant, or I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is, Jake, that next week is another week.
It's another week, and we are going to be closer than ever to the start of the XFL.
That's true, right? Next week's show is going to be big because next week's show is going to be the show that's closer than ever to kick off 2020, Bryant. That's a new stat I just pulled up here on my calculator.
That is a guarantee. There's no doubting that next week we will be closer than we are at this very moment right now. The road to 2020, it does get closer and closer with every second, and I feel like there's so much left that we got rule books coming out. Don't forget that it was mentioned that the schedule was going to be out in September. Can't wait to go through that. The draft, I have huge plans for the draft. Alan, I haven't even talked to you about what kind of plans I have for the draft, so I got that slated. It's going to be a great fall leading into the spring. So yes, we are closer than ever right now.
I was thinking for the draft, we do a special on our YouTube channel, XFL show on YouTube, and we do a draft special from a pool. That way we're talking draft pool from a pool.
We've done shows from a pool before. It wouldn't be the first.
Yes, we have.
As long as we have enough pool noodles, I think we can get it done. But we'll have to.
That might be hard to come by. We'll have to try and figure that one out.
We'll put that together. We'll definitely
I didn't know Vince couldn't swim. That was not my fault. I apologize for that. I thought you could swim.
We'll put that plan together and announce it soon. At XFL Show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, there's always the XFL fan line for you to call and leave a voicemail, 724-565-4XFL. Leave us a message. We'll play it on next week's show. And the Patreon, patreon.com/This Is the XFL Show. We've been finishing unofficially. It's kind of a segment, but no one really recognizes it. We do kind of end a lot I don't know if you guys noticed on predictions. I want to ask a different kind of prediction this week. Next member of the media to be caught in public wearing XFL gear, Jake.
Oh my!
Besides Matt Hasselbeck.
I know I'm on the clock here. Colin Coward.
Oh, I think that's a solid guess. Solid guess. I mean, he's obviously going to be a part of the league.
It's safe. But
yes. How about you?
I say this week we see Pat McAfee. He's going to be sporting a hat or a shirt or something.
Yeah, he was in the same picture with Matt Hasselbeck as they were prepping for that Wake Forest UNC game. So that's a good guess.
That might have been Pat McAfee's sweater. He seems like a good guy. He might have handed it over to him if it was too cold.
He said, "Yeah, it's chilly in here, dude. Here's my hat." I don't know about that. I'm gonna go that we're gonna catch somehow, some way, a picture of Gus Johnson wearing XFL gear, and our minds will explode.
I've never seen that man in nothing but a suit, so this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if he wears anything but suits, but I'm going to go crazier than Gus Johnson calling a football game if I see Gus Johnson wearing an XFL polo or something. Hey,
I'll go Doc Emmerich.
Oh my! Well, NBC
something XFL. I'll go Doc Emmerich on him. That's what it is. No. Say
I was going to
Doc
say
Emmerich.
Yeah.
Excited.
Be a major coup to steal Doc Emmerich for NBC just to call XFL games. That would be amazing. All right. Well, those are the predictions, and also hopefully predicting some Tier 1 quarterbacks signed or a schedule to come out. We'll see. We know there will be news. We know we'll be a week closer, and we know we will be right here for you, covering the entire road to 2020 and beyond. For Vince, for Jake, for Bryant, I'm Alan. This is the XFL show. Remember,
they're listening.
Where football goes to be reborn. Where football goes to be reimagined. Where one goes to find more of what they need. A place with endless possibilities and hidden gems. A place where only one's limitations determine how much is explored. A place that gives you all the football you can handle and more. This is the XFL Show's Patreon, guiding you to February 2020.
Thanks for watching and listening, XFL fans. Don't forget to tell us what you think in the comments below, or even better, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things XFL. Check out some of our other videos and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at XFL Show. This is the XFL Show is a production of Pretty Easy Podcast.